Second interview. Yeah. Hello, good afternoon, Rich.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Welcome to Radioregent. My name is Curtis Anthony on the Koolbreeze Experience. Glad to have you here in the Koolbreeze Stratosphere.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Today we're going to talk about your evolution, spirituality, and vision, mission with your music. But before we get into the meat of things,
Yes.
how have you been?
I've been good. You know, things are kind of up and down, but I've been good.
Good, good. Music been good to you?
Music has always been good to me. That is the one constant.
Okay.
Music has always been good to me.
Well, tell the fans out there where you're from.
I'm from right here in Toronto, and my family moved to Florida when I was about 9,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't like it very much.
Okay.
So we came back when I was about 16 or 17.
Wow.
And you know, I love this country and I love this city, and I don't really want to live anywhere else.
Beautiful. That's what I like to hear, man.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. Tell us, what's a normal day for you outside of music?
I don't have an answer to that.
Really?
There's not a day that goes by that doesn't involve music,
Mm-hmm.
almost 24/7.
Wow.
Because, you know, usually I'm learning some material for an upcoming show or recording, or I'm practicing. I like to practice at least a couple of hours a day.
Okay.
And I like to write music. If I
Right.
can get the time, I'm always trying to compose or come up with some new things for a new project or whatever.
Good stuff.
So that's usually a typical day. It always involves music.
Great. So the bass is your main instrument?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you must have played with who in this town of music?
It's been a very I've been blessed. I'll say that.
All right.
Wow. As far as people that I've played with, it goes right across the board. I played traditional Indian music with a band called Auto Rickshaw.
Okay, I heard of them.
I played with Kim Mitchell for a little while.
Rock man, yes.
Who else?
Eddie Bullen?
Eddie Bullen.
Who didn't play with Eddie Bullen?
Yeah, well, Eddie's one of these dudes who just sees folks and then brings them into his circle, which is amazing, and that's
Right.
what he did for me. And I was very fortunate to play in his band, and you know, play different venues in the Caribbean, which was always fun.
Right. Tell me, where did your love and passion come from, and how did that influence your style as a musician?
That is an all-encompassing question. I guess the love and the passion came at a very early age when my dad would have music in the house all the time. And I can remember being like even 3 years old and just having the floor sort of littered with 45s, and that's what sort of got me into it, like listening to, you know, my parents are Jamaican, my background is Jamaican, so there was always like John Holt and Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and
Heavyweights.
the Heptones, and all this really great reggae music from like the 60s and 70s, just playing in the house all the time, and I think that's really what got me into it.
Okay. But you know, you've been. We did a bass show last week. I know you probably tuned in here a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I had to touch the Canadian bass players as well, because you, Andrew Stewart, Orrin Isaacs, You Zeb fella, Alain Caron.
Alain Caron, yeah.
A dude used to play here back in Bill Sharp.
Yeah,
All staples of Canadian bass playing. Dave Young.
absolutely. There are a lot of players. Really great players.
So that bass show was a lot of fun, man. I
Nice.
tell you. And I said I gotta get Rich Brown in because I had two bass players in Oren Isaac. I had bassman Ian and yourself. So we tried to cover as much in the diaspora as possible. Now, I know everybody's interpretation is different. What is your definition of musical success?
Ooh. Well, that's a very good question. I'm still trying to figure that out, to be totally honest,
Right.
because musical success can come from critical acclaim or sort of gaining an audience or getting a fan base.
Okay.
But a lot of people base success on financial gains as well, and
Right.
whether or not you consider this a real job,
Right.
which a lot of people don't.
Okay.
So it depends on what you gauge or what you sort of think of when the word success comes to mind.
Okay.
If you're thinking from a more financial perspective,
Mm-hmm.
then it's harder. It's a
Right.
lot harder to sort of find yourself in a successful sort of position,
Okay.
because you got to work really hard to make that money.
Right on. Right on. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Wow. What collaborations fascinate you in the music business?
As far as my own collaborations, or
People you love to work with or would like to work with?
I guess, I haven't really thought about it. I've sort of been very focused on my own path as far as a bass player and a composer is concerned.
Right.
And collaborations, I haven't really thought about that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm. Now, what's one of the favorite venues or places you played in? Always remember.
Wow. Well, there are a lot, actually, because I was very fortunate to tour with a saxophone player from New York named Rudresh Mahanthapa, who's a
Okay.
monstrous player.
Okay.
And we would usually tour through Europe. I played in his band for quite a few years. And there were so many of these gorgeous venues throughout Europe that we played that just blew me away. The architecture in Europe is on another level. You know?
Okay.
So it's hard to pick just one venue, but
Right.
some of those theaters are really, really gorgeous. Yeah.
Great. Rich, for those of the fans who just tuning in, bass player, composer, Rich Brown is in the studio at Radioregent on the Koolbreeze Experience. Rich, I gotta ask you, is there something in your musical journey that keeps you humble and grounded?
The fact that I am nowhere near where I want to be as a bass player and a composer
Okay.
kind of keeps me humble,
Nice.
because I realize I have a lot of work to do,
Okay. I
and
like that.
and there's a lot of music that needs to come out that that at this point I still don't know how to express.
Yeah.
So that journey is probably the most exciting part about being a musician.
Right on.
You know, being able to find that voice
Right.
and understand who you are as a musician, especially as an instrumental musician who wants to tell a story
Right.
or relate to people
Mhm.
without the use of lyrics or words. Or
Right on. I like that. That's an honest answer. I like that. Now tell me, with all these paradigm shifts in the music industry, it seems like a very different place today. Are you happy with it?
you kind of have to be,
Yeah. Okay.
otherwise you give up.
Okay.
Being happy with it, I guess I am happy with it. Am I complacent? No,
Okay.
you can't be.
Mhm.
But I am happy with it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And you know, with the music structure, for the fans, some of the fans out there, I know you know this. It's all about rhythm, harmony, melody, creativity, expression, emotion. Tell a story, which is paramount in the production of music. Are you happy with some of the stuff you're hearing on the radio today?
Yeah, well,
In terms of the creativity, what they're doing, and they're making a lot of money compared to what you're doing with the real true art and craft of the music.
you know, that's a tough question, and you know, good music is subjective.
That's
and
right.
and am I happy? I feel like there could always be a little more representation
Thank you.
from artists who are really pushing themselves.
Right, right.
Because there seems to be sort of a flavor of the month that happens
Yes.
in every sort of genre and subgenre
Right.
of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be getting a lot of the attention these days.
Right.
Whereas there are a lot of incredible music being made by people who are more sort of underground. The best record I heard this year was from a saxophone player in New York named Steve Lehman.
Steve Lehman, okay.
He put out an album called Celebayon,
Wow.
and I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Okay.
And it is an incredible amalgamation of jazz and sort of new sort of modern classical music,
Right.
and then these rappers from Senegal.
Mm.
When you combine all that stuff,
Right.
like even when you hear those influences, you think, well, what in the world would that sound like?
Right.
But you listen to it and you just think, I've never heard anything like that before in my life, and
Wow.
that's what really pushes me, because there are people out there who are really expressing themselves in different ways
Right.
that don't really get to see, the mainstream. you know?
True. Quite true. Now, Rich, when you were coming up in the music business, who's the bass player you wanted to be? Who inspired you as a bass player? Throw some names out there.
Well, there's, for me it was Jaco.
Same here, man. I love the guy.
Yeah.
Jaco Pastorius.
I was all about Jaco Pastorius, and
His harmonics.
yeah,
detail, phrasing.
everything.
He was like a painter.
Yeah, he checked all the boxes.
Yes.
Everything about that. Everything about him was just music,
Yeah.
and that's what I really appreciated. Beyond chops and whatever facility he may have had on the instrument, which of
Right.
course was phenomenal.
Right.
He was a fantastic melodicist, and he knew how to put notes together
Yes.
that would appeal to everyone.
Right.
Because electric bass, it's a difficult instrument to sort of get across without having to prove something to people.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. Jaco was able to really just express himself to people
Right.
across the board, musicians and non-musicians.
And after Larry Graham, in terms of the slap and pop thing that he created,
Right.
Jaco Pastorius was the second most copied bassist. Every bass player, I hear that tone in there. The harmonic. It's all Jaco's signature.
I think Jaco's influence is ubiquitous. It's, even if there are young bass players coming up who have never heard of Jaco Pastorius.
Gravitate.
Yeah, well, even if they never hear Jaco Pastorius, the bass players that are influencing these young kids were probably Jaco freaks.
Right.
So I think that influence is going to be passed down through generations and generations, whether, the new generations will have heard of Jaco or not.
And there's a DVD set for the people out there who are into the bass playing. You've got to see the Jaco Pastorius DVD by Robert Trujillo. Spanish.
Trujillo, yeah.
Trujillo, yeah. That is killer. It's a double DVD. It is off the charts.
I saw that.
Rub it. I watch it over and over.
Yeah.
I listened to it. When I heard him on that Black album there with Herbie Hancock in 1976.
On his record.
On his record.
Yeah,
it was
word
just-
of mouth.
And the Weather Report albums was just Teen Town.
Yeah.
It was just killer. Absolute killer. Man, so anybody else you liking bass out there?
Well, it's okay. See, this is an interesting thing for me because when I was listening to Jaco, I tried to get into other players, but I always gravitated back towards Jaco.
Right.
And I felt I just wasn't satisfied with other players.
I hear you.
Which sounds a little weird, but
yeah.
so I went outside of the realm. I started to look at other instruments and guitar players and singers and people like that. So I feel like as much as Jaco was an influence on me, people like Matheny and John Scofield and Stevie Wonder and
Right.
John Coltrane, those folks have made just as much an impact on my playing as Jocko has.
Right, right, right. Now, I gotta ask you with the music business today, how does a musician monetize intellectual property in a manner where the artists get paid fairly?
You're asking the wrong cat. Yeah.
Yes.
There are little things that you can do if you're releasing a record. There are companies like CD Baby that will look after your rights, and every once in a while I'll get a check for sales and things like that. And SoCan is also good.
Okay.
You have to stay on top of all of those things.
Wow, and that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work for, at the end of the day, not a whole lot of money.
Right.
But, this is the path that we have chosen.
Yes, yes. Rich, I want you to tell the fans out there where you're playing next.
I'm actually playing tonight.
Tonight, where?
At the Rex Hotel.
The Rex. What's the address?
What's the address?
Somewhere Dundas and some.
Well, it's on Queen, very close to Queen West, very close to the University subway stop.
Okay, right.
So around that area.
I've been there, but I could never tell anybody the address.
I can't remember the exact address.
Yes,
but I'm there tonight with a drummer who lives in New York now, named Mark McLean. And it's a fun band. It's a very groovy band.
What's the name of this band?
The band is called Mark McLean's Playground.
Mark McLean's Playground. Now, I spoke, the reason when I got you in here, I spoke to Eddie a while back, Eddie Bullen, and he says, I'm looking for a bass player to bring in, and he says, get this guy, and he's got a band, Rich Brown, he's got a band called Rinse the Algorithm.
Yes.
So when I heard that, it just sent me into frenzy. I said, I'm going to bring Rinse in the studio and rinse his algorithm real clean. He's going to be shaking. He's going to be baptized, but when he leaves Radioregent and the Koolbreeze experience, I guarantee it.
Fully rinsed.
But so I heard that name, and that's such a funky, it has a fusion kick, funky kind of great out there kind of groove to it.
I guess I came up with the name first of all because I wanted something original.
Right, and that is.
And it seemed to fit.
Yeah.
It's basically another way of saying, take care of business.
Yes,
because
love that. Full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop.
It's the term rinse sort of in certain circles in the R&B scene or whatever. The term rinse means to do something really well.
Yes.
And then the algorithm just sort of made sense because an algorithm just refers to any sort of set of instructions.
Right.
So any tasks that you face should just be rinsed.
Listen,
which means go at it 100%.
Yes.
Don't half step.
I agree with you because I'm with you with it. Every Saturday morning I come in, you ask the DVD, I rinse them with music in here. Clorox, Javex, I spick and span, I clean them nicely and bring them back into the Koolbreeze stratosphere, man.
Nice.
Yeah. To me, go big or go home.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, especially in the music business.
Yeah.
And as a musician, you have to do that, or else it'll eat you up.
Yeah, come with 150% all the time.
Yeah.
Be ready, be sharp. Sometimes I say to myself, if I was any sharper, I would be a bread knife.
Right?
But I got to tell you, where can your music be purchased?
My music is not in stores.
Okay.
It's not in retail, but there are other avenues. My music is on iTunes.
Okay.
I have a Bandcamp page.
Okay.
Where you can find my albums. CD Baby, of course. A lot of the sort of online distribution sites will have my music. I have 3 albums.
Right.
This one, A Bang, the Rinse the Algorithm record, which was my first album. And then in between, I put out an album called Between Heaviness and Here, which is a solo bass album. It's all just 100%.
I would like to get a copy, if you
Absolutely,
will.
Yeah.
Rinse Your Algorithm, and that's solo bass. I'm a bass freak here, and so is DVD.
Wicked.
It's just like, where can the fans find you on social media?
I am on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I just joined Twitter like
Okay.
a couple of months ago,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm still sort of getting used to it all. But
Right on, right on.
yeah,
Good, good. So everybody's just tuning in, even myself, with the social media thing. I was old school. I was scared of these things, even banking
Yeah.
online and all this craziness. But eventually you have to move with the times when it gets a little tighter and more secure.
well, I mean, it's an important avenue for musicians
Yeah.
who really want to build a following and get their name out there.
Right, right, right. It's tell the fans, Rich, when you're on stage performing, and the crowd gives you that energy, and get you all fired up, man, and you want to give them back. Take us there. What's that like? The energy exchange.
It is an incredibly beautiful thing because I feel so blessed. I'll tell you why. I mean, I think about this a lot, so
Okay.
I'll try to make this answer short.
All right.
You get a gig
Uh-huh.
and you advertise that gig to people, and then somebody or some group of people scattered throughout the area take time out of their day or night to come and support
Yeah.
what you do.
Mhm.
Right? They could be doing anything else. They could be chilling at home, just watching a game or whatever.
Right.
But they decide to come out and support what we do.
Okay.
So I don't want to take that for granted.
Right. Right.
So I try to give the best that I can with every performance.
Okay.
And when that energy is reciprocated,
Mhm.
it just becomes cyclical after a while.
Right. Right.
You know, it becomes this give and take that kind of lasts the entire gig.
Okay.
But that give and take seems to sort of expand
Right.
and get larger, and
Right.
then people get happier and feel better. And,
Right.
And I love that about music and art in general because
Right.
it sort of crosses the lines and blurs the lines between, like, we're in this weird political climate now, and we don't have to think about that. Conservatives and liberals can be in the same room and just dig music
Exactly.
and forget about everything else.
I agree I'm with you 100%, man. Now, Rich, I gotta ask you, what it is like when you and your instrument alone. Tell us about that intimacy. Now, you can spare me the dirty laundry.
Oh, there's no dirty laundry. Trust me. Ain't no dirty laundry with a bass. Come on. I tell all my students, or any students, that probably the most important part of your practice regime
Right.
has to be making music by yourself, without any agenda, without having to go through scales and blah blah blah. Just improvise on your own
Okay.
with your instrument and
Right.
really develop that relationship
Okay.
where you're making music in the most honest way possible.
All right.
So for me, it has become an important part of my daily practice.
Okay.
And what I like to do, without getting too technical, what I like to do is start from nothing and try to hear what is supposed to happen next in the composition.
Okay.
And that leads to more ideas and more things, because here I'm working on my musical sense, my ability to react to whatever stimulus. I mean, even if it's a sound, like, I'm hearing the sound of a saw or something right now.
Right.
So if I was in the practice room and sort of doing that, I would sort of react to that sound
Okay.
and try to make music based on that.
Right. Wow, that is great, Rich. I tell you, man, this music is a beautiful thing, and sometimes it swings in a really crazy way on how they try to market music these days. And what I found interesting is that there's a lot of good music out there. You have to dig deep into the subterranean trenches. There's a plethora of good music out there. You just got to dig to find it. And that's what I'm doing, because a lot of stuff I'm hearing out there, I'm not happy with the mainstream business. It have its place.
Yeah.
But I'm finding good stuff over, and there's this drive to get me there to that.
Right.
There's a continuum. And Rich, I got to tell you,
Hey,
Sorry, it's been a pleasure. Oh, sorry.
back, we're just doing an interview.
It's any shout out to friends and family and the band while we're still on the air. Yeah, put it out there, man.
Yeah, I want to shout out anyone who might be listening who has followed my music or any other projects that I might have been involved with.
Right.
I love you guys
Right.
very much for supporting what I do. Shout outs to all the students at Humber and U of T and York who always support the scene and really sort of
Right.
breathe some new life into this. Shout out to all the members of the bands, all the bands that I put together, the Abang and Rinse the Algorithm, and yeah,
Rich.
it's all love.
Yes, plenty love at Radioregent. We're organic, we're out there, and I have people in the States, bands and so on, calling us. They just love our show because they're saying that people are dying for good music out there, and I feel their pain.
No, I
So I'm
understand.
on the wagon, and I decided I've got to do something about this. Bring that good music, Diva and I, and we have a great show programming. On Fridays are off the charts. TN
Nice.
Providence, DVD,
Yes.
DVD from 3 to 5, Koolbreeze Orbit, Adrian Crush Groove, and then we've got the Timbuktu Radio.
Right.
So the airwaves is busy on Friday, but Saturday morning when I come in, it's a different animal.
Right. There we go. We're going in.
You know what, Rich? It's been an honor and a pleasure having you here at
mine.
Radioregent.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by Radioregent on the Koolbreeze experience. Thank you for bringing your love to the city, which manifests in our greatness.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
On the interview.
I'm gonna.